Are you missing out on one of the simplest ways to build wealth? Maybe you're like Will and you have all the tools, but you never take them out of the toolbox. Hi, I'm Bobby. I'm a financial coach, and this is Financial Story Hour, where we dive into relatable financial stories to empower you to change your own. And with that said, it's story time.
When I was 20, my uncle, the finance guy in the family, sat me down and told me about this thing called a Roth IRA. He even helped me open one. I didn't really understand it, but he kept saying, "You'll thank me when you're older." But I never added anything to it after that. Life happened. College, rent, car payments, kids. You know how it goes. I decided to finally take a look, and guess what? There's only the original $200 in there. I never invested it, and it could have been worth thousands if I'd just kept investing. Now I'm realizing if I want to retire at 65, I have to invest a lot of money every month to catch up. And honestly, I don't know how I'm going to pull it off.
Unfortunately, Will's story is all too common these days. I mean, he did arguably the hardest part psychologically by sitting down and opening the account, but he didn't follow through with the consistent behavior of consistently contributing and investing that money. And nowadays, it's really easy to actually set this up so it's automatic. You don't have to think about it anymore. And you can get the power of consistent, even small contributions, especially when you're young. So let's rip the Band-Aid off and talk for a minute about what could have been. First, let's take a second and talk about what an IRA, what a Roth IRA specifically, really is. Now, IRA stands for Individual Retirement Account, and it's something that you set up and it's self-directed, so you can invest in the whole investing spectrum. And Roth means that it's made with after-tax dollars. That means you get your paycheck and the taxes have already been taken out. That's the money that you put into the account, right? And then the cool thing is that it grows tax-free. And when you take it out at retirement after 59 and a half, if it's a qualified distribution, you take it out and that money is never taxed. So it grows tax-free and you can withdraw it tax-free when you retire. A couple things to note, there are income limits, right? So you have to be making under a certain amount of money to be able to contribute to a Roth IRA. And there are yearly contribution limits. So the government limits how much you can actually put into this account. For those under 50, it's currently $7,000. That does change. $7,000 for the year. I believe it's $8,000 if you're over 50. Now, if Will had opened this account when he was 20 and just put $200 a month over those 20 years till now when he's 40, he would have, assuming an 8% rate of return, he would have roughly $118,000 in the account today. Now, on one hand, that's amazing. That's incredible. On the other hand, it's like, whoa, 40 and just over 100,000 in the account. But let's see what happens when we do it over 45 years. So when he actually turns 65, again, he's only investing $200 a month that entire time. And by the time he reaches 65, he has over $1 million. Now, I know that the inflation is a thing, and that's part of the reason I'm using an 8% rate of return. This is slightly inflation adjusted. But obviously, $1 million down the road is not going to be the same as $1 million today. And in fact, $1 million today isn't what it was, a couple of decades ago. I realize that, but compare that to zero. Now that Will has woken up and has actually realized what he should have been doing and what he needs to do going forward to achieve that same $1 million by the time he's 65, starting at 40, he's actually going to need to save roughly $1,100 a month for the rest of that time until he hits 65. Now, when he's 20, hitting $200 a month is going to be a struggle, right? And this is where I tell you that anything is better than nothing, right? But $200 is a struggle, but doable. But now imagine that he's 40, he's got a family, he is deep in all of his responsibilities. He's got college coming up for his kids, he's got weddings between now and then, and he's looking at having to go from apparently zero investments, to carving out $1,100 in his budget. And as we've said, $1 million isn't going to be the same when he hits retirement. So it's not like it's going to be necessarily income replacing. Now, the good thing that Will has going for him at this point is that when you're 40, it's right around where you're making some of the best money of your career. So hopefully he does have that extra margin. But the problem is that we often inflate our lifestyle to include all of our income. So if he's not used to having any margin, that's a lot to carve out at once. And he's probably going to start slower. He's probably going to start lower than $1,100. And that's okay. Again, start anywhere and start with something. So what can Will do now going forward? Well, obviously he needs to get started investing in this account. He needs to find where the account is, get into it, start putting money into it. Once you transfer money into the account, you do have to actually invest that money. That's something that some people miss. You have to actually invest into something, right? And thankfully today there are a lot of easy, great choices, very easy to research, just a very simple strategy, even something like a target date fund, an indexed target retirement fund. They're called different things, but basically you are able to just kind of tell it what year you want to retire. And it's an index fund, meaning it's a basket of lots of different stocks and bonds, and it automatically diversifies as you get closer to retirement, so that you are being safe, with your investments. So it does that automatically if you really want to be hands off with the account, which I know that a lot of us do. We're not going to go be picking stocks and all that good stuff. So the important thing is to get started, get money going into that account, and start investing. And in fact, I encourage you, wherever you are, to stop today. If you have earned income, which is another requirement for a Roth IRA, stop today, open a Roth IRA, start putting $5, $10, transfer that automatically from your bank account, a monthly transfer into your Roth IRA, and then you can set it up to automatically invest that money. And if you get that going now, right, you can actually, as your money increases, now you've broken the ice, now it's on your horizon, you can actually turn that dial up. As you get pay raises, for instance, you're going to know to keep some of that extra margin, that extra money coming into your budget, to be directed to that retirement account. Now, as I've said before, unfortunately, Will has had a whole adult life that has been living to the full of his income, and if not beyond that. So for Will, it's going to be really important that he learn the discipline of cutting back, that he knows his cash flow, knows his margin, and takes full advantage of that margin. Now, again, in previous videos, I've talked about you want to make sure that you are doing things in the right order. So if you're starting from scratch and you've got tons of debt and you have zero savings, first thing you want to do is a starter emergency fund. Whether that's $1,000 like Dave Ramsey, or your lowest deductible like the financial guys, the money guys, advocate for, or something in between, right? You get a starter emergency fund, you pay off your high interest debt. Now at 40, pretty much all of his debt is going to be considered high interest, because his compounding power for investing is actually a lot less. But take that aside. Once you pay off your debt, you can proceed to the investing part. Now, here's where you're going to want to create that margin. Will's going to want to maybe even he might need to go as far as getting a side hustle or getting some extra income in to bolster specifically his investments. Now, obviously, we talked about the fact that he's going to need $1,100 a month to achieve the same thing. Now, that is going to be over the Roth IRA contribution limit, right? He needs to contribute more than the max you can contribute to a Roth IRA. So what else can he do? Well, obviously his employer plan, if he has a 401k or anything like that, and if there's a match involved, he should have already been taking advantage of that even before starting the Roth IRA. Just want to get that out there. However, if there's no match, but he does have something that he can put into that is tax advantaged in some way, he needs to take advantage of that. But if not, say he has a job where he's got no options for retirement, then you can actually just open a taxable brokerage account. It's not tax advantage, but it does allow room for you to put as much as you can and as much as you are able to for retirement. Now, we've been talking in fixed amounts, $200, $1,100, and honestly, the younger you are, again, the more time you have, the more powerful your dollars are. Every dollar is invested. So we talk about you start out when you're 20, investing $200 a month. You're going to end up with a lot of money by the time you retire, given the market's history. But I encourage you to not contribute just a fixed amount, right? So you can be like, wow, so when I'm 40, I only have to be investing $200 and the rest of it can just be lifestyle. Yes and no. So of course, you can enjoy the fun of having way less pressure when it comes to your investments than Will now has. But I encourage you to think of it more in terms of a percentage of your income. So that percentage can be smaller, right? So when you start out if you're 20, maybe 10 to 15% of your income is what you should shoot for, right? And if you hit that, then you can maintain that 10%. That means as you get pay raises, you're actually increasing relative to that percentage, the amount that you're investing, right? So you're going to be investing more over time, but I didn't even run the numbers, but you should pull up investment calculator and look for yourself to see if you increase with your income over time, that number at the end when you retire is going to be so much even exponentially more than what we've seen so far. So I encourage you to think of it as a percentage and not just a fixed amount. But again, the earlier you start, the more flexible, the more options you have. Now, if you've hung on this long, then God bless you, because you are one of the top 50% of the people watching these videos. And just for you, one, I want to ask that you would consider hitting the like button, leaving a comment, and or subscribing to the channel. I really appreciate it. It actually means a ton to me every time I see a comment, every time I see a like. And of course, the more subscribers that I have, the more people can see these videos. But for you guys that are hanging on, I do want to dive into and actually pull up and show you kind of the steps that you would take if you want to sit down right now and open one of these accounts. Now, I've just pulled up Charles Schwab because that's what I have. There are a couple of really good ones that are going to be the same. This is a brokerage house, a brokerage company. Charles Schwab is one. Fidelity is another great one that I've had experience with. Vanguard. These are kind of the top ones that are going to be on the bigger side, so they charge way less fees. And these are just kind of the main ones that are talked about. Anyways, I've just pulled up Charles Schwab. No endorsement or anything like that. Just what I'm more familiar with. So when you come to their page right here, you can actually just click on this open an account button. It's going to show you a couple of different options. As you see right here in the middle is a Roth IRA. There's brokerage accounts like we've talked about, traditional IRA, which we'll talk about, I'm sure, in other videos. It's the same thing as it's still an individual retirement account, but it is not Roth. It's not tax-free in the same way. And rollover IRA, that's like if you leave a job and your 401k makes you roll your money out. But anyways, let's just click on Roth IRA here. And I believe it's going to tell us not only like what is a Roth IRA, but what do you need to open it? You need a social security or tax identification number, employer's name and mailing address. Why do they need that? Well, you need to be able to prove that you have earned income to open the account, and birth dates for people who you want to inherit your IRA assets. That's always a good thing to do, is to set beneficiaries for your accounts. So I'm just going to see what happens if I click get started. Just some basic information. It is going to need your social security number. And so I'm not going to be able to go much farther than that, but just know that it's really, I did this recently with somebody and it took minutes, literally minutes. So once you have an account, you're going to come to your page here. And again, this is just to show you how to make it automatic, easy investing, right? So you're going to go to trade. Under mutual funds, you're going to see automatic investing, right? And here you can see that I just have a simple $10 going into this account. But over here is going to be a button that says enroll. Once you have, your Roth IRA selected over here, and then you can actually just set up, again, research some mutual funds that are index funds that have no fees or very, minuscule fees. And again, I recommend maybe even target index funds. Not specific advice. I'm just saying that's a very easy way to not have to deal with the diversification yourself. And yeah, you can actually set it up. First, you have to connect your bank account, right? You have to set up an automatic deposit into the account. Then that money that's deposited in the account is what you're going to trade here. And you're going to set up the frequency and the day that it's going to come, that it's going to be traded. But it's as simple as that. Just a few minutes and you'll have automatic investing coming out. And then you can just tweak that, turn that dial up as you get pay raises, as you earn extra money, as you get more disciplined with your money. So maybe you are like Will and you've lost some time. Even if you've lost 20 years of time, it's not too late. Again, start now. Start with anything, because it's going to be better than nothing when you do get to retirement. And the more that you invest now, the more options you have when that time comes. Even if you're not able to fully support yourself just out of your portfolio, isn't it going to be so much better when medical bills come up or when things happen that you have that extra cushion of a nest egg when you want to retire? Now, I've had people ask me well, what if, we don't want to retire? We don't think we're ever going to retire. We just want to work. Well, unfortunately, we don't always know what we're going to be able to do when we get older, right? We're not necessarily all going to be able to just work into the ground. And I wouldn't want to personally, but again, that is, totally up to you and your values. But the fact of the matter is that there may and honestly probably will come a time when someone else is going to have to take care of you. And so even for that, even if you want to work as long as you possibly can, having that nest egg so that you can help your loved ones, so that you can help yourself, is going to be huge. So maybe you've lost some time. Don't lose heart. Start now. It's going to be okay. And if you want to talk more about this, if you want to hear more, then I would love to talk to you about what it looks like. If you need somebody to just kind of give you that one last push to start, I'll be that push. And I'd love to hear your thoughts about this in the comments, about starting and about investing. Again, I'm not here trying to give you specific investing advice, but I think it's pretty easy to say starting now is better than waiting till tomorrow. So I hope that you will take advantage of this tutorial, brief as it was. I hope it's got you thinking about what you can do with your next dollar instead of letting your lifestyle expand to account for every single dollar that comes in. Keep some margin so that you can achieve these goals, whether it be paying off debt, whether it be investing. And again, I want to hear your story. Remember, you can change your story. And with that said, I'll see you in the next one.